Everyone talks about how to find a part-time job, but no one tells you what happens after you get the job or what are some of the things that you need to keep in mind. Here's what you need to know and you must know if you're looking for a part-time job as an international student. Hey guys, my name is Sombul and welcome back to Aside Mind, where I make so much content on my study abroad experiences. I make so many videos and I share those videos with you all so that you guys are aware of things in advance and you can learn from my experiences. Let's get the basics out of the way first. Where can you find the part-time jobs? So there are so many websites where you can look for thousands and thousands of part-time jobs, such as on Indeed, Gumtree, and I think these are very good places for you to start. Every university also has its own job portal, and on a daily basis there are so many jobs that are posted and advertised. So these jobs can be from part-time research assistant to admin jobs to cafe jobs and even jobs that might be available at your university library. But the thing is that personally I believe that finding part-time jobs on these websites and job portals is not the hardest thing in this entire process. What is harder is managing what comes next and not being aware of the reality in advance. I will share a personal example later in this video so that you guys know exactly what I mean by that. So what are some of the things that international students don't realize when they're looking for part-time jobs? I get so many messages and emails and comments for people and they're asking me about part-time jobs, and I think this is really good because people want to be financially independent and they want to be able to support themselves, and I definitely encourage that. But what they don't realize is that sometimes how intensive their master's programs can be, because it's one thing to say that 20 hours per week is allowed on my student visa. That means I can work 20 hours in a week as an international student, but it's completely another thing to finish lectures, the assignments, give exams, work on a thesis, and also maintain a social and a personal life with a job. Students underestimate this and they think they can manage everything like a pro, but what is the end result? They usually burn out. I've had so many friends and class fellows who had to quit their part-time job or at least reduce their working hours because they could not manage their job with the amount of coursework. Now, I'm not discouraging anyone from working and I'm not saying that you should not work, but what I'm saying is that you need to be realistic. You need to ask yourself, can I afford to study without working for a few months, just in case it gets too much? Because it is very easy to sit in your home country and tell yourself, okay, I can easily work 20 hours per week with the amount of my coursework. But sometimes reality is very different. So you need to keep this thing in your mind. Let's say you decide to work in a cafe or retail or delivery. What a lot of students don't realize is that sometimes applying online might not always be enough, especially with the part-time jobs. Sometimes students apply to so many jobs online, but they just never hear back. And in such cases, what can help is printing out your CV and handing it over in person. And this is something exactly what I did when I was applying to cafe job at my own university. So I think if you're confident that you can manage a part-time job with the amount of coursework, then I have one piece of advice for you. If possible, you should try and get a part-time job at your university first. The pay might be similar, but I think the difference is in the environment. At least this is my personal opinion and it's completely based on my personal experience. Usually you are surrounded by other students who can be your class fellows, your seniors, or just students from different programs. Your managers are also usually more understanding and you are far less likely to be exploited or overworked. I'm not saying that the working environment is perfect. Obviously, you're going to find at least one person who's going to be toxic or manipulative. But I think working in city cafes or in retail shops, like any place which is outside the university, can sometimes mean unpredictable hours, poor treatment, or even this pressure to work extra, which I can completely understand is not easy to manage when you're also trying to focus on your studies. Students also think that getting a part-time job is a piece of cake, and I think this is not true. As I also mentioned earlier in my previous video, that everything in this world, everything is super competitive. So sometimes you might also need to struggle with finding the part-time job. So don't think this whole process is going to be very easy or a piece of cake. So I remember when I was giving the interview for this cafe job I applied at my university, I was not the only person who came for the interview. I mean, it was like 3-4 people came before me and 3-4 people were supposed to come after me, and the interviewers also suggested that these interviews are gonna keep happening in the coming days. So you can get the idea, like for that one part-time role there were so many people who were actually looking for that opportunity. So it's all competitive. It's not easy at all. There is no shame if you think you cannot manage a part-time job with your studies. Your sleep, your mental health, and your academic performance, these are very important. I mean, isn't that the whole point of coming to a different country for your education? I'm saying this again. I'm not discouraging anyone from working, but international students sometimes do underestimate the reality. So keep the points that I've talked about in this video so far in your mind when you're making any decision, and do what works for you and not what everyone else around you is doing. So I also applied to one of the jobs. I gave the interview and I also got the job. But I did not rush into joining it because I was still a bit unsure, like not 100% confident whether this is the right job for me or whether I can manage this job. So I got in touch with a friend who had been working as a support worker for some time because I wanted to know what sorts of duties and responsibilities actually lie in the sort of role, like if you want to work as a support worker. That's when I got to know the specifics about the support worker job, and then I realized that this might not be the best job for me and it might not work for me. So I think taking this pause and taking the time to know the ground reality really helped me in the long run. I mean, I could have also done this before applying and giving the interview, but I think still taking that pause really helped me, and I realized, okay, maybe I don't want to work as a support worker. Okay guys, that is all for today. I really hope that you found this video helpful and now you have a better idea, and now you know how to better navigate the part-time job search process. You should definitely check out my video, like previous video on the UK job market and things that international students must know in advance. If you guys have any questions or you want to share your experience, feel free to comment below. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more and more content. I will see you guys in my next video. Until then, take care and stay happy.